Hello, I Nirmala Rawat welcome you to my YouTube channel. Thank you for your time. In last part, we saw the conversation between Ajit and Anasuya who are about to be married. Also, Anusuya's father told Anasuya that Sri Ram had suggested Ajit as your groom. Conversation between Anusuya and her father continues. Sri Ram did that? Yes, when he came to visit our home one day toward the end of his life. You might not remember, but he blessed you at that time. Before taking his leave, he casually remarked that I might consider the youngest son of Sudama as a suitable husband for you. He said it so casually. He never instructed people. He just offered suggestions. This was the way he taught us. He wanted us to come to our own conclusions, but he would insert a thought in our minds. I thanked him for this counsel and forgot about it. But some years later, his words returned to me, and I spoke with Sudama, who was by then working with me in the administration. My father laughed. As soon as I mentioned this to Sudama, he told me that our Maharaja had suggested the very idea to him many years ago, and so that is how your marriage came to be. I was astounded to hear these words. In his last years, Sri Ram was fulfilling what Mata's intention had been. Did he do this with other people? I asked. Oh, yes, my father responded. He took an interest in the lives of so many, even as Ayodhya grew. People said that he learned this from Maharaja Janak. He put into effect on a large scale what Maharaja Janak had started in the smaller kingdom of Vidisha. My father continued, Your mother has told me something of your meeting with Soma. I also would like to go meet her. Shall we plan another trip? I was bursting with joy at the thought. Can we take Ajit? I asked. I would like her to meet him. Of course, we will plan for the very near future. A few days later, my father came to tell me that he had set the date for our visit for the following week, but that got delayed. He set another date, and that also got delayed. I began to be impatient and suggested to my mother that we go without my father. But he was insistent about joining us. Finally, he set another date, and this time there was no delay. We embarked on the journey with 3 chariots. It was the next day when we arrived. My father insisted on going first to pay his respects to the teachers of the hermitage. But I was impatient to see Soma, and so Ajit, my mother, and I headed in the direction of her hut. As we entered the forest path that led to her hut, we encountered an ascetic walking from the opposite direction, leaving the area where Soma lived. He stopped us. Are you looking for Soma? He asked. My mother nodded. You won't find her there, he said. Where is she? My mother asked. He smiled. My mother pressed him again. She has gone home, he replied softly. Home? My mother asked. Back to Mithila? At her age? No, lady, her true home. Seeing the perplexed look on our faces, he continued. It was a few days back when I heard Mata's voice calling me to hurry to Soma. I was far away from here, but came as fast as I could. As I entered the forest, I saw 2 beautiful women approaching me. They were lavishly dressed, and though I found it odd to find 2 women dressed that way in the forest, but I was in such a hurry to meet Soma that I didn't take note of it. They stopped when they reached me, and the woman who was leading the other one smiled and said, Putra, you won't find Soma there. I have already taken her. I pronounced to the woman, not realizing what I had just heard. I continued to hurry towards Soma's hut in great haste. I had not gone far at all when suddenly it hit me. That was Mata who had spoken to me. It was Mata and Soma I had seen. I turned and ran back to where I had been, but there was no sign of them. In their place, I found Soma's aged body lying on the ground, with no life in it. Tears came into his eyes as he spoke, but he continued, I did not recognize our Mata. But then his face brightened and he added, She did not want me to recognize her, for I would have fallen at her feet and begged her to take me as well. But it is the will of Sri Ram and Mata that I remain to remind the world of the love that is their very being and to serve all in their name. With those words and with a pranam, he hurried off into the forest. My mother froze, unable to say anything. I burst into tears at the realization that Soma had died. When my mother could speak, she turned to Ajit and said in a hurried voice, Go after that ascetic. Find him if you can, quickly. With these words, she sank to the ground. What is it, Ma? I asked between tears. Do you realize the great blessing we just had? I shook my head. All I could think of was the loss of Soma. Let's see if Ajit can find him. But it was of no use. The ascetic had disappeared. Ajit soon returned with the news that he was nowhere in sight. He was the one who came that last night to Soma's and brought fruit for all of us. Do you remember him? My mother asked me. I nodded. But that ascetic was so tall. He could barely fit in the doorway. This one was small. I don't think he was the same one. I replied in a controlled voice. He was the same. His size changes. I saw him that night and again today. I recognize him by the glow that emanates from his body. Most unusual. That glow lit up the room that night, and today it outshone even the brilliance of Surya Dev. Do you know who he was? Both Ajit and I shook our heads. I believe that was Hanuman. It is said that he comes in many forms, always changing, so that people will recognize him only by the love he spreads, not by any one body. Did you feel the wave of love that spread over us as he hurried away? That is the sign of his presence. My mother wiped the tears that were still staining my cheeks and took hold of my hands. Sri Ram and Mata Sita gave you a great gift today, my dear. It was Soma's time to go, and we should rejoice with her. Whatever questions you had for her were meant to go unanswered. Instead of seeing Soma, they gave you darshan of Hanuman. They gave this to you both, perhaps as a wedding gift. Take the love that he has spread over us and let it grow in your hearts. Jai Shri Ram. Let me know in comment section how you felt when you learnt about Soma's departure. Do not forget to like and share this video. Jai Shri Ram. Have a great day.